Behind this door is something I've always wanted. My own hobby room. A place just for painting Gunpla, filming videos, drawing, making music, all of it. But for the past several years, that has not been my reality. For a while, my build setup has looked like this. While it's been organized, it's been a very tight space, and it was also in the middle of my living room, which meant painting when other people were around was a total no-go. So I decided to do what any normal person would do. Buy my dream home. Just kidding, but I actually did buy a house. Sadly, it was not this flippin' sweet one on the beach. A house where I would have a small room I could dedicate to making videos for this YouTube channel and all of my other hobbies. I had a lot of work to do on this room, so why don't we just go ahead and get to it? This was how the room looked starting off. Anyone who builds plastic models or paints can tell you it's a nightmare working on a carpeted surface, so I knew the carpet had to go. I also wasn't a fan of the color of the room, so we'll be giving the room a fresh coat of paint as well. So the room had a nice little closet here. I definitely wanted to make use of that. And yeah, just one more pass over of the overall room. You can see the vibe. It's not quite there. So first thing I did was rip out all of the carpet. It was a huge pain. I did all of this work completely by myself. It drove me freaking crazy, you guys. Then I put in some LVP flooring. This was my first time doing that kind of flooring, and it was also a huge pain, especially in the corners and under the doorway, but I got it done, and in the end, it looked really nice. I think it looked something like this. I think it came out super clean. I also, like I said, I painted it, fresh coat of paint, and I did the trim around the corners, the molding, all of that stuff, and I think it looks really fantastic. I picked this black color because that's how my previous studio space was, and I thought it just looked kind of cool and interesting. And also the flooring was on sale, so that helped. But yeah, this is what it looked like before, and this is what it looked like after. So you can see total transformation. It almost looks like a new space. All right, so now the moment you've been waiting for, the actual reveal of the finished room with all of my stuff in it. We're finally gonna go ahead and show it to you. So why don't we just go ahead and take a look inside. And here it is. This is the finished space. I think it came out looking just really great. Still could use a few more decorations, but overall I think it's just got a great vibe to it. I really love the energy of the space. It feels clean, but it also has a little bit of my personal style and flair to it. So I've really been vibing with how the space looks. So why don't we go ahead and just start the tour. All right, so starting out, just coming in the room here, you can see I've got my hobby set up in this corner. And then doing a quick overview, I've got my audio set up over here, as well as just this little sitting corner over here with some guitars and things like that. And we're gonna go ahead and get started looking at all of the hobby setup. So starting here, I have this bookshelf here with some cabinets, just a simple IKEA cabinet, and this is what I call my Gundam library. So I've got all of my Gundam weapons books, all of my Dengeki hobbies. These are some miscellaneous modeling and art magazines, and then these are Hobby Japan, as well as some model graphics magazines over there. Below that, I have some extra paint, just miscellaneous supplies in here, tape, extra paint, things like that, thinner solvents. Here I store all my airbrushes, as well as holders for my alligator clips. And then here I've just got some more miscellaneous tools. The Amazing Cutter, I did a video on that, really amazing tool. And some, spoons, saws, things like that. So this is great. I love my little bookshelf. I love grabbing a book, hobby book, sitting down here in this chair with the Japanese lantern and getting a vibe going on and just getting inspired by different builds. All right, moving on to over here. So as I talked about in the beginning of the video, my old hobby desk was really small, and it made it really hard to do complex builds. I often found myself, you know, having runners out to dry on the kitchen and things like that. And this solves all of that. I have two big areas over here. So for one area, I can have runners on alligator clips drying. And then on the other area, I can work on sanding, snap building, gluing, all of that. So I have plenty of space. Or I could have like a build set up in one space and then still have an open desk to draw or do whatever else I want to do. So it's really awesome. And the best part is this is actually an electronic standing desk. So if you go ahead and push this button here, the whole desk raises and lowers. So you can customize the height of it based on what you want to do. If your back is hurting and maybe you want to sit up a little higher, or if you want to sit lower, you can totally adjust it, which is awesome. So that's the desk. Moving on here, I've got some supplies. These are all my acrylic paints. These are Vallejo paints, but I have other acrylics I use as well. And then this is just a hobby tool holder that I got off Amazon. The brand at the time was called Picasso. I believe it's discontinued or hard to find now, but I really love it. I'm a huge fan. There were a few more modules that I didn't have space for in my old desk that now I do. So I kind of wish it was easier to find so I could add those modules, but I don't think I'll be able to find them. Nonetheless, I have all my tools here, different paints, inks, things like that, weathering oils. Here I have all my pens and pencils for drawing, all my paints for hand brushing, sanding tools, and then just like miscellaneous little tools in these drawers here, crazy glue and things like that. So moving over here to the spray booth setup, this spray booth is not the best. I actually want to do a video on it. This is the generic Amazon spray booth you get. It's a really cheap foldable one, but it has broke on me. Like the plastic has snapped. The fan was never that great, but the idea is you have your spray booth here. When you use it, you just hook this up to the back and this runs out the window and you can vent all your fumes right out the window. I typically work with acrylics, so there aren't that many fumes, but there still are fumes with acrylics and overspray and particles floating in the air, so it's still nice to vent it even if you're not using lacquers. I have my trusty little spray out, like I don't know what this is called, cup over here, alligator clips. Moving over here, I have my little You Can Do It chicken hatching out of an egg, which a friend made for me. I really love that. And then this lamp here, I picked this up recently. I highly recommend getting a nice bar lamp like this for your build setup. It totally changed the game for me in terms of what I can see. Like the visibility is amazing. You can change the different tones of light on it. You can do brighter, dimmer, depending on what the vibe is. And it's freaking amazing, you guys. Like, get one of these. You can also like even put it in the corner and then you can adjust these bars depending on like where you're going to place the lamp. So highly recommend getting a nice lamp like that. Here I have my soldering setup. It's not the full soldering setup. I have a soldering mat I use when I'm soldering, but there's my soldering iron, my vintage clock, because you can't go wrong with a vintage alarm clock. I love that thing. And then over here, this is a movable tool rack that I just got from IKEA. Highly recommend it, especially if you have like a big desk or a setup. Actually, I started using this with a small setup. That's the reason I used it, because I could put some extra tools and move it to wherever I was working. And yeah, it's just hugely helpful. There's just some basic stuff, basic tools on that there, but highly recommend like any kind of wheeled cart. And then under here, you've got your garbage can, which is crucial for building Gunpla. And then I have an ultrasonic cleaner. This is a like to-go toolbox that I'll bring to my local build nights or just hanging out with friends. Air compressor. It's just a really basic master airbrush air compressor. And yeah, it would be cool to upgrade at some point, but it's doing the job for now. Here I've got some other stuff. You can see some like isopropyl alcohol, my hair dryer, which I use to quick dry parts. And then over here, I just have some music stuff. So it's all mixed together, just some CDs, cassette tapes, and then some guitar pedals. All right, so we have some more hobby stuff to get into, but before we get into that, I wanted to show my audio setup. So this is where I record voiceover for the videos and also where I edit my videos. The setup is totally overkill for a YouTube channel, but I used to record bands and podcasts and things like that, so that's why I have so much gear. But this is where I sit and record all of my YouTube audio and also write music for the channel. And I've got this cool little keyboard tray that pulls out. This is a really fantastic desk if you're into audio and things like that. So I highly recommend getting a little desk like that. It changed the game for me, having everything all organized. And then continuing, you know, I've got some amps here. I love the orange amp because orange is my favorite color. That's why I bought it, not because of how it sounds, but because orange is my favorite color. And then here I've just got like a ton of headphones, cables, and things like that. Now, behind this door, for those of you who are members, I did a little sneak preview of what's in here in the member section. If you're not a member, consider subscribing. It helps support the channel, and you get sneak peeks like my secret stash video where I go through everything in this closet. We're not going to go through everything today, but I am going to show you what's inside. So why don't we go ahead and take a look. And this is my secret stash. I'm going to go ahead and change the camera angle so now you can see a little bit better because this is quite a tight space. But this is my secret stash of Gunpla boxes. So it's not my backlog. Most of this has been snap built. A few things haven't, like this Master Grade here, Gundam Base Limited Edition, Master Grade 3.0. I also have some 5-Star Stories kits here. These are in my backlog. They haven't been snapped, but most of this stuff has been snapped, and it just sits here waiting for painting or just to be hoarded forever, for all eternity. So that's that stuff. And then moving down, I have some extra guitars, a little bit of mess here with some lights and mounts for holding my cameras and things like that. And then here I have a mix of audio stuff as well as Gunpla stuff in these bins. So just, you know, basic odds and ends, little instruments, keyboards, hard drives for storing video for the channel. And then I've also got bins here with all kinds of stuff. So this one here has snap builds that I'm holding on to. Usually I'll use those for spare parts if it's not something I'm going to paint. Here I've got, for example, this is a soldering drawer full of all my soldering stuff. This one has all of my builder's parts, which I highly recommend. These are just little parts for customizing your kits. These Builder's Parts HD are really fantastic. The MS pipes, I use them all the time when customizing. And then moving down here, again, various things for building. So this is just little pieces of wood that you can use for bases, a few that I've already painted. I've got all my plot plates here. Over here, I've got my folder full of all of my water slide decals that I keep that over there, as well as some manuals. It's a bit of a mess. Some of this could be more organized, but you get the gist. I have some plastic rods here for mounting things on dioramas. So lots and lots of Gunpla tools. Here I have a glass cutting mat over here, which I'm not going to pull out. And then just some miscellaneous Gundam tools. Here I've got like a little portable building station, things like that. So that is the gist of this closet. You know, the majority of the stuff, the cool stuff is up here. But yeah, very handy to have a nice closet that I can store all my Gunpla in, because before this was under the couch in my living room. So yeah, it's nice to have a dedicated closet to store all this stuff. All right, back to the rest of the main room. So yeah, I feel like I blazed through this pretty quick, you guys. I hope I didn't skip over anything. Oh, here, I skipped over my little SD Dendrobium and some random little SD guides, my SD Gerber Tetra. Just some random things I've hung up, like my vintage 0083 poster, which is one of the favorite things in my Gundam collection, honestly. It's from the time that the OVA actually came out, I believe. Super cool. Love having that. Love this new hobby setup. Love this desk. Need a new airbrush spray booth. But other than that, I think this setup is perfect. I would love to know what your guys' setups look like. If you guys want to leave a comment, even if you have like your own channel, I'd love to check out your rooms and see what your setups are. Or if you want to join the Discord and post pictures of your build setup, I'd really love to see. I'm always looking for like new ways to optimize the setup and change things around, make it better. This room is very new, so a lot of the walls are still bare, but I'm really happy with it, and I think it was ready enough to share with you guys. So let me know down below what you guys think of my hobby room setup. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like and all that stuff, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.